display of attributes in a tight situation.
Good morning, 93.5 CHMR-FM. You're tuned in on a Friday morning. Running here a little bit different. It's Christmas break, everybody. Don't really have anything to report, but we have a fantastic guest in here. Jeremy Reynolds is his name. And Jeremy, how you doing, my man?
I'm good. There's no one on campus. We're the only ones here today, and I'm glad to get a little bit of privacy here in the CHMR studios, the old stomping grounds for myself.
Yeah, absolutely. You've been here. This is where you got your start, wouldn't you say?
This is where me and some friends of mine, notably Stephen Lethbridge, started out in radio way back, I think it was 2008. We started off a show called High Sticks and Hail Marys. General sports talk, so it wasn't as specific as just the varsity angle that you take, but same kind of deal. Like, we come in here every week. It was on Sunday, actually. We would pre-record, and it was a lot of fun. We did it for 3 years, and then he moved on to Oz FM. I'm still languishing in kind of obscurity in the zone between like having full-time work on the radio or in TV and having it as a hobby, but slowly coming around.
Hey, you're doing a great job with it, though. I gotta say, and this is a great start. This is a great, launching pad in the sense of CHMR, alternative radio station solely for university students and anyone else. And if you have an interest and you have a want, I mean, it's here for anyone. Yeah,
it doesn't cost you literally anything to get a show on the air. You just got to put something together, submit it to Bob Earl, Kathy Rowe. And I know since I've been gone, they have a new, I don't know if she's a station manager, news director.
Yeah, that's
Colleen.
Colleen,
yeah, that's right. Colleen, do you know the last Davis? Or
I think so, yeah.
Colleen Power.
Colleen Power, yes.
I know because she recently put out a song that's on, I think, cbc.ca/NL, talking about, it's kind of a parody song. It's about the Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. And she parodied it, and it's about how long will the Tories go on? That's what the song is. So check it out, cbc.ca/NL, Colleen Power.
Hey, listen, I don't see why not. We'll go to break in a couple minutes, and we might just play that coming in off that break if I can find it in time. Maybe after this break or maybe after our halftime break, Jeremy. Thanks for the heads up. We're going to make that happen.
Yeah, I actually haven't heard it myself. I've just seen the videos on the website.
Okay.
So that would be a good call. Let's do it.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, well, here on the show, Jeremy, welcome, by the way. Typically, we interview varsity athletes. We get to know them a little bit. We bring everyone up to date on our latest Seahawk news, and then we talk about how they live the varsity life. But you're living the varsity life in a different sense, and we're going to get into all of that. But that's usually how it goes. Today's going to run a little bit differently for all of our listeners out there, but still we like to keep consistent, and I usually like to talk about the weather at this time, Jeremy.
Yeah, and you know what? It's been one of the warmest Decembers that I can remember. Like, when I was a student, I don't remember coming to the campus, and I know everybody's gone home now. There's no snow on the ground. It hasn't really been cold in December, except in the beginning. Mm-hmm. It's been a real beautiful month here in St. John's.
I gotta say, 3 days ago, I saw a guy walking to Munn campus. I was going away on the bus. He was walking in T-shirt and shorts. It was that warm.
Dude. Yeah.
Come on,
what a
man.
Guy. Yeah.
Middle of December, guys.
You can't do that anywhere else in Canada. Maybe out in Vancouver Island, maybe in Vancouver. That's about it.
That's about it. Well, just quickly here, folks. Today, 3 degrees is our high. A little bit of, this is the end of the abnormal weather trend, Jeremy, but we're leaving it at that. Couple things to know. There's going to get a little cold tonight, guys. Low of -1. Windy, a little, maybe even a chance of flurries as well. For your weekend, it's sunny and it's 0 the entire time. A high of 0 on Saturday, Sunday, and into Monday, even in fact until Tuesday, folks. Not that much wind either. Saturday, a little bit windy, but Sunday, Monday, it's just going to be a fantastic entrance into our Christmas season.
Yeah, and all the warm temperatures are great, but everyone wants to see a white Christmas, and hopefully something happens. I know the weather forecast you're looking at ends on, Wednesday, Thursday?
Yeah, 1 week.
So Thursday, it's going to be above temperatures here in St. John's. Maybe if you're listening somewhere else, who knows, Labrador, you'll probably be getting some snow. Maybe somewhere off the Avalon. I personally want to see some snow for Christmas.
Me too. It's very cliche, but it brings me warmth in my heart, Jeremy. I can't get any...
The cockles of your heart?
Yeah.
Somewhere in there?
I need it in there.
Whenever someone gets talking about the warmth in their heart, I just go right to the Dennis Leary song. You know the name. Everybody knows the name out there. I don't want to say it on the radio. It's the only song Dennis Leary ever put out. You can YouTube it, you can Google it. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. But he talks about warms the cockles of his heart.
Oh, the cockles.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we're going to leave it on that note. We're going to go into a quick radio break where we're going to be talking a lot of stuff here with Jeremy Reynolds. 93.5 CHMR-FM, folks. Don't touch that dial. We'll be back in a minute.
This is going out to all my, you know what I'm saying, wanderlust. Check it out, and you don't, I put feelings aside, I know who I am, but hesitation wasn't part of the plan. See the art to the OBO, the God cipher, controversial rhyme writer, who rhyme tighter, who shine brighter. Make moves and manipulate, intricate vocabulary and articulate. Writing shit at will while you can't relate. Instead of rushing, make it whack ass wait. Robbled into enormous.
93.5 CHMR-FM. Back in the booth with Jeremy Reynolds. And Jeremy,
what's up?
Oh man, I'm hyped to be in here. Honestly, like you said, the only ones on campus. I saw some of the custodial staff up there in the UC, but it's an eerie feeling being on campus with so little amount of people.
Yeah, like where's all the learning? There's no learning going on right now.
That's because everybody put in their work, Jeremy. Exams are over. I'm feeling good that exams are over. I was thankful. I got it done on Thursday, but you haven't been around the campus in terms of the exam season for a while, but I'm sure you don't miss it.
You know what? It's funny what you miss when you're gone.
Yeah?
It's like I've always kept the possibility that I'm going to go back to school, like an MBA program, something like that. Don't miss exams, but everything surrounding exams, just being on campus, being in a real lively type of environment where people are there, they're trying to further themselves. Don't miss the exams unless you do really good on an exam, then you feel like, oh man, I just like a hot knife through butter is what, like if you're adequately prepared for something. I remember that's what my old math teacher in high school used to say. It's like, I'm going to prepare you so when you're writing that exam, it's going to feel like a hot knife through butter. You're just going to feel good.
I'm loving these analogies, Jeremy.
So like that was... like I'd miss an exam where I did good on, but exams in general, no. Like who really likes writing exams?
Totally. The highest pressure situation that you can possibly think of. I mean, your life is on the line in a sense.
Your academic life, for sure.
Yeah, totally. Well, Jeremy, let's get right to it here. We're about 14 minutes past the hour here, folks. We're going to run until past. And Jeremy, you got a lot on your plate. Recently, you were named the Inside the AUS correspondent here from Memorial, our very own, and I'd like you to shed a little bit of light on that.
Yeah, I know there was a guy by the name of Chris Abbott who was doing some work before me with Inside the AUS, and he recently moved on to Eastlink in Nova Scotia. He moved to Halifax. He set up shop, and I kind of sent an email out to Bill McLean. He's a guy out of Nova Scotia who does Inside the AUS, in addition to another show that's going to be kicking up soon, East Coast Sports Show. And he does a lot of event coverage for Atlantic University Sport. He covered football championships. He did swimming. He came here last year and did the swimming championships when they were in the Aqua Arena. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out, but it was really good competition over there.
Yeah, I did some volunteering actually at that event. I just went and was one of the guys on the sidelines, just keeping, just lending a hand wherever possible.
Yes.
Continue.
So I sent out an email to Bill, who I'd been kind of in contact with a couple times over the course of the last few years, and didn't hear anything for a couple of weeks, and then I get an email saying, we're looking for somebody, and it was because Chris had moved on, and we set up a call, chatted about it. And just I said that I can start contributing whenever you need me to, really, and that's when it all started. So there's the possibility for event style coverage, but for now it's about contributing work to inside the AUS. And the first thing I did was a segment on the men's basketball team. It was after their first victory of the season. Stopped in, and it was a really fun experience for me because I'd never done anything like that before, working with a professional videographer. Shout out to Tristram Clark, Newfound Media.
Okay.
He does a lot of work in webcasting across the city. Like he was in Corner Brook earlier this year, and this is just one thing he did. He was in Corner Brook for the Music NL Awards Gala. So he had a 3-camera operation out there. They webcasted it through Bell Community 1.
Yeah.
And I watched it, and it was great. Like, they had audio, they had a guy mixing audio for the show, they had a guy mixing for the video, 3 cameras in Corner Brook, so he had to pack up the operation. So obviously he has all of his own gear.
Yeah.
Take it over to Corner Brook, do the show, come back, and he's just been flat out throughout the Christmas break because there's a lot of Christmas coverage that Bell has really pushed on their channel, Bell Community 1. And it's an on-demand channel. You can watch it online, or if you have Bell Cable, you can check it out in the on-demand section. But getting back to what happened with the interview, it was like I was feeling a bit nervous because I'd never actually done anything like that before. Like with the podcast that I do, it's kind of very informal. Like we started out recording videos on our iPhones, kind of selfie style, and we recently started using a camera of mine on a fixed tripod on a wide angle to get all 3 of us in the shot. 'Cause it's usually it's just 3 guys sitting around the table talking about hockey. But this was like, all right, you got your intro. We're going to be walking and talking with the camera. Like, and then we get into the gym, do the player interviews, talk to the coach, and then the outro. So it was a brand new thing for me. It was a lot of fun to do, but at the same time, it was a big learning experience. But I'm glad to be able to do it.
Sort of nerve-wracking in a sense. I mean, I watched it, and I could tell you were... I knew it was definitely your first time simply because we know each other. And having that in mind, I looked at it and I realized that, okay, this guy, Jeremy, he's really, really working hard. And there were a couple moments where it was like, oh, I hear them. Are they practicing inside? Well, why don't we go take a look? And you open the door and boom, like trees, tall guys just hanging there having a practice. I really enjoyed it. I watched it myself, and my sister showed it to me, and it was neat.
Yeah, it was. It actually ended up being a lot longer than I expected because we submit. Like the way it works is we will shoot a clip, and we'll submit. It could be 5 minutes. It could be 25 minutes of video time, and it's all up to the editors with Inside the AUS to break it down for the amount of time that they want because the show is only half-hour long. So my first bit ended up being like 15 minutes long. I was like, why is this like, why didn't they cut me off sooner than this? Why did they let me talk so long? Because it took up like half the show.
Yeah.
But it's funny you mentioned that little intro piece because we went to the front of the phys ed building where there's the Seahawks logo, where the colors are. And I told Tristan, like, this is the place where we got to film the intro. It's made for it.
Yeah.
But it was his idea to like kind of creep up on me while I'm talking with the wireless microphone, and then it was a couple of takes, and we heard the guys practicing inside, and they weren't playing basketball, they were warming up playing some soccer.
Yeah.
So we heard them in it. I mean, same kind of noise coming out of a gym. There was no bouncing of balls, but they were squeaking of shoes.
Of course.
So I don't know if you could hear it so much in the video when you watched it. Well, but like I could hear the guys practicing inside, so it was kind of like, oh, let's check out, see what the guys are up to. And there was like it took a few takes. We pulled open the door, and Tristram would just run around the corner with the video camera into the gymnasium.
It was good. It was good when you said why don't we go in and enter. I peeped in and I turned it up the second time I watched it, and you can really hear it. Like you said, there's no bouncing of the balls, but it's squeaking. Keep in mind, like these guys, they just finished up the last of their first half season games, and I've played 3 years under Coach Benoit as well, and it's a good thing to do. You know, you work hard all season, especially they had long preseason, they had 2 trips, and they even hosted, which we covered, but they ended up. It's just a nice way to end off the season. Play a little bit of soccer to warm up. It doesn't need to be so serious at that point, right?
Yeah, that's right. And I was talking to Coach Benoit when we were inside, and I was like, "Oh, you're playing soccer. It seems like almost every professional sport seems to play a bit of soccer in pregame. We know if you watch hockey, you always see guys in their pregame ritual in the tunnels in a stadium somewhere, kicking around the soccer ball, trying to keep it off the ground.
Really?
You see that all the time. Yeah, guys like Sidney Crosby, Steven Stamkos, all these guys do it as kind of a warm-up, not so much like actually physically getting warmed up, but just getting your mind in the game. And to do that, it keeps your attention focused. You really narrow down on your concentration, and it's fun too. Right?
Who doesn't want to be good at soccer, man? It's a fantastic. It's the biggest sport on our whole world.
And just imagine, like, you're in you go to Chicago, you're in the United Center, the biggest stadium in the entire NHL, and man, you might be a bit nervous playing in front of. First of all, you're in a huge stadium. Second of all, one of the best teams in the NHL you got to play against.
Yeah.
And like the fans are going to try and eat you alive.
Totally.
Why don't you loosen up? What are you going to do? Kick around the soccer ball with your teammates in the corridors, before the game. It's a good way of loosening up.
Yeah. I now that you say it though, honestly, even me playing basketball, if I'm on the sideline and I see a ball around, I'm going to play footsies with it. It's a basketball, but it's still just the love of the game. I don't know. It's so contagious. Everyone just wants to be Cristiano Ronaldo, Leonardo Messi, everybody, right? It's a fantastic sport.
Yeah, and it's if you're just kicking it around, it's really good for working on your footwork, getting your foot speed up,
coordination.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just running on a treadmill or running down the hallway. You have to react to what the ball is doing, just like you would in a game situation.
Good analogy, Jeremy. I like that. All right, so back to Inside the AUS. You did your first episode. So what's next? What do you have on your plate? What's coming up?
Just recorded this week an interview. It was not with a MUN athlete. It was actually with a guy playing in St. FX, Robert Slaney, from Upper Island Cove in Newfoundland. And this is a guy, the angle for the segment was he's played in the Q. He played 4 years for the Screaming Eagles out of Cape Breton. And he wasn't drafted originally, but he did sign a contract with the Toronto Maple Leafs after his fourth year in the Q. Wow. He never ended up making it to the NHL. He played in the AHL for the Marlies. And then he went and played in the ECHL for the Reading Royals, and he played for the Cincinnati Cyclones. He ended up being traded to the Montreal Canadiens organization. He played with the Hamilton Bulldogs. And at the end of it all, he wasn't re-signed to an AHL contract, and after that, he played it. He kept busy with hockey, I would say, is the best way of putting it. He played ball hockey for the Canadian national team, and he decided to go back to school and play in St. FX in the AUS conference because he was a Scholastic All-Canadian in high school. Like he received one of the biggest honors you can receive as a student athlete when he was in high school with the Screaming Eagles. So he's a guy who was very smart.
Yeah.
And he has aspirations of becoming a doctor. So he went to St. FX, good program. He's an HKR now in his final year. And it was a good story because St. FX, their hockey team, in the month of November, they went 8-1. They lost once, and they lost once. That loss was to UNB, the second-ranked team in the nation, and they lost to them by 1 goal.
UNB is always they have fantastic facilities. I don't know if you've ever been.
I have, yes.
Okay, well then when you step in, they have an entire rink just for them, and it is they are a thing of beauty.
The basketball. The basketball facility and the program they have is top notch. Like I remember, I think I told you this, but I'll say it again just so everyone out there knows what UMB is actually like. If you're a player or you go there to watch a game, you sit down and in the intro they have a video prepared. Like this is Raptors quality. This is NBA quality stuff. The guys are in the locker room. They all have their heads down.
Yeah.
The camera's just panning around, and then they start like clapping, like.
Yeah.
And then the music kicks in, and there's slam dunks and all this game footage of them knocking it in, yeah. And it was good to see. Although they didn't really get the turnout that I saw that you see at MUN games. They have all the production value. They have all the money in the world. But I mean, The fans in Newfoundland and in St. John's are great.
Unparalleled.
Got to give
in
a
the
shout
AUS.
out to them.
In the AUS, unparalleled, totally.
Mm-hmm.
But let's give. All I wanted to say with that was, that the UNB team just they have a bit of a dynasty going on there. They're very, very always just a fantastic program, always on top of it. So bringing it back to your guy Slaney.
Yeah, Robert Slaney. He's a guy who he goes out with a girl, Allison, who's from Clarenville. So on our hockey podcast, Net Crashers Hockey Podcast, netcrashers.ca is the way to find it.
Yeah, we'll talk about
interviewed him way back in the day when we first got started. He's very friendly. He was more than willing to help us out. And for us, it was a big time interview because he played in the AHL. He was like signed to a contract at the time by the Toronto
Marlies.
I think he was now with the Bulldogs.
Okay.
So since he got traded, but still, he originally signed with the Marlies or the Toronto Maple Leafs organization. So I set up the interview. We did it at Fieldian Gardens. Just set up the time. There was no one on the ice. We interviewed in the stands, and it was good. We talked about his journey to the AUS because it's not the traditional way. You know, some people come from high school. Some people come from CHL. I know on his team in St. FX, a lot of guys from the WHL, a lot of guys from the Q.
Wow.
Not too many guys come from the professional leagues, though. It's kind of like the CHL feeds a lot into university hockey, but not a lot of guys go to the next level and then come back.
Yeah.
So it was an interesting story there. And the other side of the coin is his team is playing so well right now. I mentioned they went 8-1 in November. That includes beating St. Mary's, they beat St. Mary's and Acadia on the road. And these are two teams that are top 5 ranked in the country.
Yeah.
So they're 10-5 right now. They have 21 points on the year. They're 4th in the conference, but they've beat almost every single top dog except UNB. And they lost to UNB by 1 goal, right?
Yeah.
So it was kind of talking about his team because they play more of a team game than a lot of other ones. Like the scoring is kind of evenly distributed. What they're known for is their defensive ability. So we just talked about that, prospects for the team. And nationals are happening this year in St. FX for hockey. So they're going to have a bye. Like they don't actually have to win the division. They will be in there playing. So it was good to talk about them, talk about maybe some other conferences, how they kind of stack up to the AUS. Because the AUS is right up there. In terms of, like, we've seen it in basketball with the Capers, with Acadia, with UNB now. But hockey has always been very strong here in the Atlantic provinces, and it shows in the AUS. You get in the top 5 CIS rankings, 3 of those teams are out of the AUS. Yeah.
I mean, what more do you want? You got to represent, and the East Coast lifestyle it's hard, it's blue collar, and I guess it shows in the hockey program.
Yeah, and you do have the Quebec Major Junior, which is also a good feeding ground for the AUS because there's teams not anymore, unfortunately, in St. John's, but we did at the Fog Devils at one point. But you get the Cape Breton Screaming Eagles, you get Halifax Mooseheads, you get the Moncton Wildcats.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then teams, guys playing actually in Quebec. It's not very far removed for them to come and play New Brunswick. New Brunswick is good for that too because it's a bilingual province.
Of course.
And then, Nova Scotia is not too far, from Quebec either. You can drive there in about a day.
Yeah.
So
if anyone wants to catch this episode, Jeremy, when does it air?
It was only uploaded this week, so it'll probably be a week or two before it actually finds airtime. But
where am I gonna because I don't know, where do I gotta go find it?
The easiest way to do it is just Google Bell Community One.
Okay.
And when you get to that homepage, there'll be kind of a moving banner, and it'll say all the recent episodes. Usually inside the AUS shows up there. You can click on it, and that'll take you to the on-demand player. And from the on-demand player, you can find anything you want. There's a number of tabs at the top. You can select sports and go through all the shows. It's pretty easy to find. You can really click on anything. Just get into the player, and then you'll be able to find what you're looking for.
Awesome. Sounds good. You hear that, folks? Bell Community One. Google that. And find inside the AUS. We're going to go into a quick break here, Jeremy. Time flies when we have so much we can talk about. 30 minutes past the hour, folks. Don't touch that dial. We'll be right back with Jeremy Reynolds, Inside the AUS correspondent. And this is 93.5 CHMR-FM.
Check the polls, look at the Tories drifting off in their dories. Soon every last one will be gone. All across the province they float into the distance. How can those Tories go on? They never won a single by-election. The Tories know that they just can't go on. Replace those blue Confederation building windows. The Tories know in their hearts.
93.5 CHMR-FM, and we're back. Taking a listen to Colleen Power. How Can These Tories Go On is the name of the song. Jeremy, do you want to tell the folks where they can find this one on the website there?
It's right at the bottom, one of the most shared stories of the week. Colleen Power talking about how can these Tories go on. It's a satirical song using the music of the classic Celine Dion tune, My Heart Will Go On.
For those of you that want to check that out, you guys can go on the CBC page. If you can't find it there, there's always YouTube. YouTube it. Colleen Power, How Can These Tories Go On? Local singer, check it out. So it's been a little bit of time here. You and I, we've had a dealing now for about a year and a bit. We met doing broadcasting with the Seahawks, and you have basketball broadcasting, exactly, or webcasting rather, I should say. So I want to talk about, to let our listeners know, because I've alluded to you on the show many a time, my faithful broadcast partner, and I couldn't ask for a better one, Jeremy. I mean, you fulfill my every broadcasting dream as a partner.
Well, thanks, man.
Yeah,
I
thanks.
appreciate that.
The uncomfortableness is a little high right now, but it's okay.
Don't worry about that.
Just love.
It's all good.
So just tell me about it. Like, when did you, or let our listeners know, when did you start broadcasting or webcasting with the Seahawks?
Well, it would actually, everything comes around full circle, it seems, because it originally wasn't webcasting that I'd started with. It was broadcasting for CHMR. Varsity approached the radio station and said, we want some guys who can go and broadcast, because they were starting their web feed. And it was very early in the process. They had video, they didn't have audio. So it was kind of like there was an agreement with Varsity and CHMR. Varsity will do the video, and they'll patch into the audio for CHMR. And that's what it was like in the beginning. So I worked with Bob Earl, and we sussed it out. He recruited some talent from the station, and then we started doing games over in the field house.
Yeah.
So it started as a radio thing, and then the webcast would tap into it, and then it became a standalone production by Varsity Athletics at Memorial University. They went and invested in, they had a camera, but they upgraded the camera. They got headgear for people to wear, microphones. They got a computer now to do all the mixing. They got the fiber optic cable, and it became something that they did. So I started here, and then it was Shane who asked me to go over and do games for them with really no affiliation with CHMR. Although this, you got to give credit to how it all started, and it was working with CHMR. Yeah. So that's really how it started, and that was about 4 years ago. And at the time, I was either in my final year at the university or I had just graduated. So it was not very far removed from the university whatsoever, still pretty close to it. And at the time I was working here in the International Center at the university. So, and that's how it started, and here we are. It was finally last year where they got a stable broadcast partner. So for as much as you talk about me, I'm just grateful to have someone like yourself, knowledgeable about the game of basketball, fun to talk to, and just someone I can rely on without having to kind of have a first date feeling every single week, dealing with someone on the broadcast. Just having to introduce and then having to find a way to work together. It's a lot easier when you have someone there every single time that you know and you've worked with before.
Totally. And for those that don't know, you can catch it on AUSTV.ca. There's also, I believe, a link on the Go Seahawks webpage. You guys can go in and quickly find that. And I didn't even actually realize that this was originally on the CHMR airwaves. That to me is baffling. I thought it was always just an independent thing, but that's really cool. It's a neat story. That's a great origin story, honestly. Moving with your time there, you said you've been for 4 years. What do you think of the production level now compared to where it started?
Well, when it started, there was no scoreboard. So if you were watching, it was almost like watching radio, if you know what I mean. Like if you listen to sports on the radio, and unfortunately in St. John's and in Newfoundland, you don't have the luxury that you have in other markets. Like, for example, the last time I was out in Calgary, and I'm from Alberta, so I go back there every couple of years. All the Flames games, they air on the radio. Like, they're on TV, but you can be driving home from work and it'll be on the radio. And I know the AHL team, the Ice Caps, they're on the radio here too, but that's only a new phenomenon. Okay. It's not like something that's very widespread, but you go out into other markets, there's sports talk on the radio. There's entire radio frequencies and channels devoted to sports talk. In St. John's, you don't really get this, and that's why I really like coming on your show, because anytime I get a chance to talk about sports on the radio, it's a great opportunity, because St. John's is kind of lacking. Like, you get your news talk, you get your opinion talk, but there's no sports talk.
Yeah,
really, unless someone calls up to some open line show, and their agenda is to talk about sports, and usually it's about an event, to promote an event. It's not just kind of talking about what's going on with the Leafs or what's going on with the Raptors.
Yeah.
Or this team is good, this team is bad. I love this player. Like all these things in sports. There's no real chance to hear that in St. John's. So I'm off on a fire tangent right now. I'm sorry about that, but I'm just glad to be here talking about sports today, and it was good at the time that when we were doing basketball, it could be on the radio, you could be anywhere in the city, and or you could be anywhere online and hear it. And now you can watch it. You can just go to, like you said, AUSTV.ca or link through GoSeahawks.ca, and the production value continues to increase all the time. I know this year we got the new laptop with software, and very soon there's going to be the ability to put commercials during some halftime or some breaks. There'll be commercials, which is great for Varsity, because then they can go and make a bit more money and improve the program, and it kind of just builds upon itself when you start going down that road. And I hope sometime soon we can start sideline reporting or lining up before the game to have players come over and talk to us during a break and get more player interviews. So that goes along with getting the right production people behind the scenes and that kind of thing. But I really think if we're able to, if Varsity is able to get some commercials in there, make a bit more money, then you could increase the production value even more. Yeah. But the thing about, that kind of the Varsity program here at MUN is, like, I know right now, like, money's tight right across the province.
For everyone, yeah.
Like, the government has like a hiring freeze, a spending freeze, and that trickles down to university because it's so closely aligned with the provincial government. And the tuition freeze too. You're like, some people, the Auditor General is talking about revisiting that for the university. For anyone out there who's listening from outside of Newfoundland, we got to mention that at MUN, if you go to MUN, you enjoy really great tuition. It's one of the lowest in the country, and for the quality of education you get, the value of a degree from Memorial is so it's so good compared to some of the closest competitors, and even far-flung competitors across the country. And it's really good, too, for international students to come here because tuition is lower. But, with that comes, kind of sometimes you got to spread your resources over a larger area than some other people do. But I think the production value has increased substantially since I started going from like TV radio to what it is now. There's like scoreboard, there's 2 commentators.
Yeah.
Because I used to work by myself a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And that alone adds, so much value you can't even count. Like it's not a number. It's like, the
survival mode.
The sum of 2 pieces make more than they would on their own. It's like a synergy when you have someone there all the time calling a game the way it should be called, like the play-by-play guy and the color guy, not the color guy to kind of do the play-by-play or vice versa. Yeah.
We've been getting a lot of good reviews, and honestly, I'm very thankful. Just starting with that gave me the incentive to actually come here and come to CHMR and do something else on the side, because being a varsity athlete, I felt that there wasn't a large sense of community outside of ourselves. We would obviously support each other as varsity athletes, but having people talk about us or getting to know us or having just a medium where varsity athletes can come on and just, if they have something to say or they just want to be heard or just get some sort of recognition for all of their hard work, there wasn't really anything like that. And like you said, the broadcasting there, the production was just starting up. And now I feel like the ball is rolling a little bit. Eventually, this could be something very, very good for our university. And I don't know. I've been talking with Shane a little bit as well. Going to try and get some sort of affiliation with this show, exactly, Varsity Life, to potentially deal with the Seahawks on a higher level, other than just athlete profiles twice a week, which I'm fine with. But you always want to continue and keep stepping up the game, right? And I think that's what we're gonna do, hopefully. So
yeah, just keep pushing along. And I know that you are nearing the end of your university undergraduate studies.
1 term left. Yeah.
It's not to say you won't continue on master's track or doctor or whatever ends up happening for you. But the thing about CHMR, which is great in the community of St. John's, is even after you graduate, you can come back here and host shows and pay a fee that's unbeatable. You pay like $25, or it's either $25 or $50, and you can come here whenever you want. You can record your show, and it can be on the air in the city of St. John's for an unbeatable price. So big shout out to 93.5 CHMR-FM. They really allow you to, as a student, cut your teeth, get into radio, but even if you want to continue down that track and you want to do a show that maybe falls outside of the box for some of the major companies in St. John's that are into radio or television, you can still come and do it here.
Totally.
So it's really good to see.
Jeremy, I have a video, and I'm going to say highlight of the year, potentially. Let me just toss this on right now.
Yeah, let's check it out.
Oh, no.
Hit this one.
There we go.
Seahawks stuck 3, no timeouts left.
Desperation time, Robinson heaves it up. Oh, my God! She did it! She
Oh, my God!
Can you believe it, Theo?
I can't believe it!
Oh, my God!
Jeremy, I cannot believe it!
Oh, the humanity!
Oh, yeah, that was
Can you
Megan
believe
Robinson
this?
hitting
We're going into
the
overtime!
three-pointer
Oh,
from
my God.
75
Jeremy.
feet away, tying the game against the Dalhousie Tigers. A game that went into overtime, and the Dalhousie Tigers were able to win over the Seahawks at home. So
Unfortunately,
the Seahawks didn't get a win, but we did get a highlight for the ages there, by courtesy of Megan Robinson, number 5.
I gotta say that probably was the highlight of my broadcasting career.
Mine by far.
Yeah, and I'm just thankful to have you by my side, because it was totally unscripted. We both stood up, our chairs went flying behind us, just in a moment of pure, I don't even know, I just want to even say like ecstasy. It was crazy. It was infectious.
Pandemonium.
Yeah, pandemonium.
It was one of those things you don't know what it's like until you're there. And like we were calling the game. You know, it was looked out of reach, but as a broadcaster, you gotta react to everything still. And you know, I'm so glad I was still zoned into the game. It's like heaves it up,
Yeah.
and then she drilled the shot, and everyone went crazy. I've never experienced anything like that in my life, and you know, I wish I could have been the player to do it.
Yeah.
So all the props to Megan Robinson. She deserves all the credit here.
Totally.
And we were just bystanders calling the action as we see it.
Right place, right time.
It was, I mean, and it was really good for the Seahawks organization. Got it on YouTube, got it on Facebook, got all kinds of likes. Made its way across some major networks in Canada and the U.S. So great for the program. And just talking about the moment, exactly like if you watch the video, when the shot goes in, you even see the cameraman like shake the camera. He's like, "Oh my God, what happened here?"
Yeah.
And then we stood up in tandem at the same time, just knocked our chairs over.
Yeah.
And our coats were on our chairs, and there was probably cell phones and like other
Valuables.
personal effects that could have been broken, but that was not anyone's concern at the time. Just stood up, and I was just totally shocked. I didn't know what to say.
Yeah.
Like I was,
Oh my God.
you know, jaw dropping. And all
Yeah.
I could think of, oh, the humanity.
The quote that has swept the nation. Made it onto Tim and Sid and everything, Jeremy. Look at you.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and in the moment, I'm glad I said that because it's not an original, obviously. It was said when the Hindenburg crashed.
Yes.
Now this was not a kind of calamity like that, not by any means, but it happened so long ago that I like to think it's in the public domain kind of thing.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna be taking something, have it be from something in the past, like the black and white era.
True.
There was. I'm so glad I didn't say what I was thinking about saying. It was some.
Is it appropriate for the airwaves?
Oh yeah, it's appropriate, but it was just some newer reference.
Okay.
Because I just watched a highlight before the game of Tracy McGrady, the dunk he had on a 7'7"
Sean Bradley.
when he dunked on Bradley on the baseline.
Yeah.
And the announcer's like, he sucked the gravity right out of the building.
Yes. There it is.
I was like, don't let me say that. Don't let me say that. 'Cause I would have never lived that down, like just a total ripoff.
Yeah.
So I'm glad I didn't say that. So
That's
that's the story behind the story.
Nice. Awesome. Well, I mean, folks, anyone trying to listen, catch any Seahawks games, January 10th and 11th weekend, you can catch it on AUSTV.ca, where the Seahawks will be hosting the Cape Breton Capers here at home in the Fieldhouse, and that's our basketball ladies and men's teams. That's a Saturday night and Sunday afternoon. More information on GoSeahawks.ca, AUSTV.ca to hear me and Jeremy on the call. Jeremy, we got about 10, 12 minutes left here on the show. And I mean, any one of these topics, I'm sure we could talk for an hour. But I would like to get to, the thing, Hail Marys and High Stakes and Hail Marys was your old show. And that transitioned into Net Crashers podcast, the hockey podcast. I want to talk about that for the last little bit. So just let our listeners know, I know it's solely hockey-based, but you have the floor.
Yeah, Net Crashers Hockey Podcast started up about 3 years ago. It was it's a joint venture between myself, Stephen Lethbridge, and Stephen Green, a couple of good old friends from Clarenville, is where we first met, and it's where those two guys grew up. And Stephen Lethbridge, he's with Oz FM. So if you listen to Oz FM during the day, Stephen Lethbridge is the guy who's on there, and he does a lot of their commercial work, and recently he's gotten into doing some work for NTV. So
Nice.
he's got the background and the production abilities because he used to be the main producer at High Sticks and Hail Marys. So he comes to myself and Steve Lethbridge and Steve Green have been talking about this idea of a hockey podcast. Just looking for another guy, a third, to really round out the operation. So we started the podcast here at CHMR-FM. We got some permission from the heads here at the station to record our show here and export it to MP3 and then upload it onto our website, and then we go through iTunes, and now we're into Stitcher Radio. If you use Stitcher Radio. Use the promo code NetCrashers when you sign up.
That's right.
And here we are, 3 years later, 110 episodes in the bag.
Wow.
All on iTunes. And we recently rebooted a video portion of the podcast. We call it the NetCrashers Intermission. So the podcast comes out every Monday on our website, netcrashers.ca, or on iTunes or Stitcher Radio. Every Thursday, the NetCrashers Intermission comes out, and that's on YouTube, and also we'll share it on our Facebook group.
Nice.
So it's kind of a condensed version. We have a single topic. We call it the 2-minute minor. There's 2 minutes. Each of us, there's 3 of us, so each of us have 40 seconds to riff on the subject. And at the end, a buzzer sounds, just to cut us off.
Yeah.
And we also do, recently we're getting into something called the Chirp of the Week. So we'll go out there, we will say, send us your chirps of the week. You know, you can chirp us, you can send us a chirp you said to your buddy, you can send a chirp you said to somebody, some opponent that was on the court, and you crossed him over, you did something to him, you know. It doesn't have to quite be hockey, although it's hockey related. But chirps are kind of universal across every sport. So here we are. We're still going strong, and we might have some very interesting development coming up in the new year. We've been in touch with Rogers, and you might have heard about it. Ron McLean's new joint is called Rogers Hometown Hockey, where he's going and making his way across the country, stopping into small towns and filming a segment, filming an entire show in those small towns. So he'll come in for the weekend. There'll be interviews. There'll be events. There will be Ron McLean doing his thing in the community, and he's going to be coming to St. John's.
What a guy.
In end of January or February, he's going to be coming to St. John's, which is great to see him making his way across the entire country. And we have the possibility to have an interview with Ron McLean, or at least have a conversation. We might not get him into the NetCrashers headquarters, a.k.a. Stephen Green's basement. But there might be a way of getting around it. Maybe we'll pay a visit and just record a bit for the podcast with Ron McLean. So you want to check that out. It'll be coming out whenever Hometown Hockey hits Newfoundland and Labrador. It'll be in conjunction with that. So that's something we're really looking forward to.
Definitely. Listen, you let me know. I'll be having my eyes and ears wide open, peeled, ready for this. And Varsity Life is going to go ahead and like NetCrashers on Facebook. We're going to make this official. I want that to happen. And yeah, when that happens, I'd be more than happy to share that for all of our listeners, just to keep them up to date. And another medium for you guys, because it seems that you're very well ingrained into the community, at least you aspire to be, and you're covering some pretty hot stuff, and you're doing a lot of work, so that work should be recognized.
Yeah, well, it's something to be said. Consistency is one thing we're really proud of. We put episodes out every single week. We do take a break for the summer. From about mid-July is where we'll record our final episode, and usually we call the NetCrashers Award the Crashies. So we will announce our award winners, and it's not like the NHL awards for best highest point getter, most goals scored, most
none of that.
Most
assist.
There's no award for that. But best defenseman, best goalie. It's not like that. We get into some fun topics. Best playoff beard is one we love to do. Best pest. Best pest is one of the ones that I've taken a keen interest to in the last few years, and that's kind of universal for sports too. I know if you're talking about basketball, there's always that player that gets under everybody else's skin. Tyler Hansborough, if you're a Toronto Raptors fan, he's that guy for the Raptors. And we know if you watch hockey, Brad Marchand for the Boston Bruins, or Gallagher with the Montreal Canadiens. They're two guys who are just like that too.
Just paid instigators.
Yeah, pretty much. But the thing about a pest is, and our definition of it is instigator, but also has the skills to make you look like a fool.
Yeah.
So not only can he trash talk, he can back it up too. So Tyler Hansborough, maybe in college, I don't know about now with the Toronto Raptors.
The Jalen Rose of the NHL.
Jalen Rose, that's another one.
The Reggie Millers, all these types of players. I hear you.
Yeah,
it's good. That sounds like a lot of fun.
So yeah, we take a break from mid-July, reboot again. once the hockey season starts up in October. And then every single week, we're coming at you with new episodes.
Netcrashers.ca, right?
That's right.
iTunes, Stitcher's Radio.
Stitcher Radio, promo code NetCrashers.
That's right. Get your promo out there. That's fantastic. And you guys have been for how long? You said over 110 episodes, but how many years does that translate to?
This is our fourth season.
Okay.
I believe, yeah.
Okay. Very nice.
Started at CHMR, and then we bought our own gear, and we moved it to the Netcrashers world headquarters up on Loki Bay Road.
May you live long and prosper, you guys, honestly. That's my Star Trek reference of the day, which I actually just, not of the day, just my first ever on-air Star Trek reference. But
well, whip them out. I like Star Trek. I don't know if your listeners do, but
who knows?
It's good stuff. I like the sci-fi. It goes a long way with me. I actually saw Interstellar the other week. That was great.
Way to go.
Yeah.
Fantastic movie. Matthew McConaughey, honestly, females have woman crush Wednesday. That's my man crush Monday, but it's Friday. So still, I'm just tossing out there. I love him.
Is that a thing?
Man crush Monday? I think so.
Oh, really?
Or I know women crush Wednesday is definitely, but... I think there's Man Crush Monday. I may have just made this up myself, but it feels like there should be something.
All right. I like it. It's a good day to get something off your chest.
That's right. 3 minutes left here on the show, Jeremy. I wish we had more time. I would love to continue talking. We only had brief amounts of time to talk about a little bit of stuff. But if anyone wants to get in contact with you, if anyone wants to hit you up on Twitter, if anyone wants to get involved with anything, this is your time right now to give all of your information for our listeners to get in touch and get on Netcrashers, follow you on Inside the AUS, any of it. Go.
Yeah, if you want to, we'll talk about Twitter first. If anyone wants to get in touch with me, I'm at Jeremy_Reynolds. And there's any number of reasons you might want to get in touch with me. Maybe you want to chirp me.
Chirp away.
Chirp away. Maybe you are a varsity athlete or a coach, and you have a very interesting story about one of your players, you want to get them interviewed, let me know. I'm looking for stories all the time. I recently reached out to all the coaches, all the CS coaches here in Memorial University, asking them for stories. So you want to get in touch with me about stories at Jeremy_Reynolds. If you have any other stories about sports in the community at large, there's a show booting up again on Bell Community 1 called, I have it here in my notes, just give me a sec, East Coast Sports Show. This goes way beyond just covering varsity athletes. It can cover anything as long as it's an interesting story. Let me know, and that's for East Coast Sports Show. And then there's another thing Bell Community 1 does, is they cover live sporting events. Okay. So if you're an organizer out there in the community, if you have a big tournament or event coming up, let me know. We could set up so the coverage is there all weekend long, whether it's hockey, softball, basketball, baseball. It doesn't matter. As long as it's a sporting event in the community, Bell Community 1 could cover it. Let me know at Jeremy_Reynolds.
Awesome.
And then Netcrashers is the way to get in touch with the group, at Netcrashers on Twitter. And
yeah.
And that's pretty much it. Those are the ways to get in touch.
Awesome. Yeah, you can get you on Facebook too, right? Netcrashers.
Netcrashers Hockey Podcast, yeah. And netcrashers.ca.
Netcrashers.ca. I want everyone to get out there. Whoever managed to listen, getting out, taking a bit of time out of your day to listen to me and Jeremy rant for a little bit. I love it. It was a pleasure to have you on the show here, Jeremy. I wish we had more time. I say that, I sound like a broken record, but fantastic guest. You're welcome anytime. And yeah, I just thank you. Thank you for coming out today.
No, I appreciate the invite, and I'm glad to be here. And Merry Christmas to all your listeners.
That's right. Folks, you can catch us on Monday. That'll be in 3 days' time, 10 a.m. Varsity Life, you guys know where it is. We're going to be posting this interview we had here with Jeremy on our YouTube channel. The link will be on our Facebook page. And all the best. Jeremy, last words?
Live long and prosper.
Oh, okay. Okay, I love that. All right, guys. 93.5 CHMR-FM. Have a happy weekend. Merry Christmas to everybody out there. Happy holidays, and we are out. Enjoy your weekend. Enjoy your festivities. And, hey, party safe, everybody. Don't drink and drive. party responsibly. Have a good weekend.
And all the kids now, they come running. It's the weekend, and all the parents.
93.5 CHMR-FM.